Hey there everyone, and welcome back to another trip report. I've just arrived at Alicante Airport on the C6 city bus that runs from downtown out to the airport. It's a super convenient and affordable service for travelers staying in the city, with the bus equipped with racks for storing luggage as well. It runs every 20 minutes in either direction to and from the airport. Now I'll preface this video with a quick warning, and that is that I'm likely going to mispronounce the name of the airline I'm traveling with today all the way through. Vueling, I still haven't quite figured it out, but the automated announcement on board the plane said Vueling, so I'm going to stick with that. After entering the departures area, I'm going to take a quick look over at the departures board. There's also an airport information desk here as well, but the board tells you exactly where you need to go to check in for each flight. The check-in area for my Vueling flight up to London Gatwick today is rows 90 to 95. The check-in area of the terminal has really high canopy-style ceilings, which make it feel super spacious and... wait, what do we have here? I'm not back in Canada yet, but it certainly feels like I am. It looks like they enjoy good old Tim Hortons over here just as much as most Canadians do. Or maybe they're just appealing to us. Anyways, back on track, I'm headed over to the check-in area now to get my boarding pass printed. I'm not checking any baggage today, but the airline has a pretty strict carry-on bag policy, so no doubt they'll weigh my carry-on to make sure it's under the limit. Vueling allows each passenger to bring one personal article to be stowed under the seat in front, and one carry-on bag to be stowed in the overhead bin. The maximum weight for the carry-on bag is 10 kilograms, and maximum dimensions are provided for each item as well, with sizing stands located around the check-in area. Around the same time that my flight is scheduled to depart, there are also Vueling flights departing to Paris, Barcelona, and Brussels, so there's a bit of a line here for check-in, but not too bad. The check-in attendant tagged each of my carry-on items, one destined to go under the seat and one in the overhead bin. He also weighed the larger carry-on bag, which came out to 10.5 kilograms. Oops. He didn't seem too bothered by those extra 500 grams though, and made no comment about it. Leaving the check-in area, I noticed some self-serve check-in kiosks at the end of the aisle where you can print boarding passes and tag your luggage yourself. With my boarding pass in hand, I'm now off to security screening. The security screening area has some priority lanes which are obviously not for me and my basic Vueling ticket, so over to the regular folk lanes I go. The monitor at the entrance to the screening area says a wait time of only 3 minutes, so that's a bonus. To enter, you first scan your boarding pass and then join the line for screening. After a nice quick security screening process, I'm through. There's another departures board here, just in case you've forgotten your gate assignment already, and now all that separates you and your gate is the duty-free shopping mall, just in case you forgot you were still at a European airport. After exiting the duty-free area, there are plenty more shops and restaurants as I work my way towards my gate. Taking another look at the departures board, my flight doesn't have a specific gate assignment yet, other than that it will depart from the B gates area. This area houses all flights to destinations outside of the Schengen area, and to access it you have to pass through a passport control checkpoint. A couple comments about the general terminal space. The ceilings here are very similar to those out in the check-in area with a canopy-like structure. The whole terminal feels very bright, open, spacious, and modern, and it honestly all looks brand new. In certain quieter areas though, it can feel almost empty, simply because of how open it is. I'm standing in the airport's only operational terminal, called Terminal N, but also on the airport grounds are Terminals 1 and 2, which were both closed to commercial flights when Terminal N opened in 2011. Lots of great looking restaurants that are tempting me here, but I have dinner plans in London, so I'm holding out until I get there. The passport control checkpoint was empty, with not a single other passenger waiting, so I was able to walk right up to the desk and was through in no time. Walking through the B gates area now, there are a few more shops and restaurants, but it's much quieter than the area before passport control. I'm still pretty stunned by how high the ceilings are all the way through the terminal. Like in most airports, there's always that one super cramped low ceiling area that's a little dark and kind of depressing, but that's certainly not the case here. We even have a Haagen-Dazs ice cream shop right next to the gate. What more could I really ask for? My flight today will be boarding through gate B22 with a scheduled departure time of 6:50 p.m. I found a seat and made myself comfortable for the next 2-ish hours. There is free Wi-Fi available for passengers in the terminal with no time limit on the usage session. That's my aircraft for today, parking at the gate after arriving from Rome. It's a 13-year-old Airbus A320 that was delivered to Vueling in December of 2006. The gate it's using today, B22, is a satellite gate, meaning that we'll be bussed from here out to the aircraft when it comes time for boarding. It's 6:02 p.m. now, and boarding is expected to begin in a few minutes. The gate area has filled up quite a lot, as my flight is getting ready to depart, as is a Ryanair flight to Liverpool at the adjacent gate B23. Vueling boards their aircraft by group, with passengers who purchase priority services boarding first, followed by the regular boarding groups. I've been assigned to board with Group 2. I'm not exactly sure how they divide up the groups, but I assume it's based on seat row. Now, not that I understand Spanish very well, but it is extremely difficult to understand anything being said over the loudspeaker system because of the echoes in this very open terminal. But since the line I'm standing in for Group 2 passengers has started moving, I'll assume that they said Group 2 can now board. After having my boarding pass scanned, I'm now on my way down to ground level to catch the bus. I'll take this time to talk a bit about the ticket and the seat I selected for this flight. I'm booked on a basic fare today, which cost about €25 or $40 Canadian, depending on the exchange rate. Not bad for a nearly 3-hour flight. In this fare, seat selection is not included. Instead, Vueling automatically assigns seats if you choose not to pay for seat selection. The aircraft is in an all-economy configuration with 4 different seating options available. Ordered from lowest price to highest price, these are front and back row seats, space seats, space plus seats, and space 1 seats. With seats in space 1 or space plus, passengers also get priority boarding. I chose what was considered to be a back row seat in row 25 of the aircraft, and that cost me all of €5. After walking down from the gate area, we waited about 5 minutes for the bus to arrive, and from there it was a short ride over to the aircraft. Seated in row 25, I was directed to board from the back of the aircraft. One of the wonderful things about a satellite gate is boarding the aircraft from the ground, which offers some great views, especially with the sun setting in the background. It was a very long and windy wait to get on board the aircraft, certainly not the most efficient boarding process that I've ever seen. With myself seated, there is still a lot of passengers left to board, and it already feels quite crowded. Legroom in the seat is certainly not plentiful at a seat pitch of 29 inches, but it's just enough for my 5'9" self. Additionally, the seats do not recline at all. I'm in seat 25F for this flight, which is the window seat on the right side of the aircraft. It looks like we'll be getting some gorgeous sunset views today, so hopefully we get airborne on time. Looking back at the airport terminal, you can clearly see the same canopy-like roof structure and just how tall the building itself is. The overhead bins on this aircraft are quite narrow and already looking very full as passengers continue to board. I was early enough in the boarding process that I had no issue finding a spot for my carry-on bag.
Safety is of utmost importance to us, so even if you are a frequent flyer, we ask you to...
With all passengers now on board and seated, the safety demonstration has begun. For this satellite gate, we'll start up our engines while still here on the stand, and then taxi away ourselves instead of being pushed back by a tug. engines are up and running, and off we go. The expected flying time up to London this evening is 2.5 hours, putting us into Gatwick around 8:30 p.m., factoring in the 1-hour time difference. Alicante Airport has only one runway, with arrivals and departures landing and departing from east to west this evening. This means we'll be departing from runway 28 and taking off towards the west.
We recommend you keep your seatbelt fastened whenever you are seated.
After turning towards the north and offering some gorgeous views of the sunset to begin our track for London, we're now cruising high above the east coast of Spain. For a quick look around the seat area, near the floor on the seat back in front is a pouch for storing the provided reading materials. Above that is a tray table which folds out, and a coat hook in the top right corner. Now, I'm not sure how using this coat hook would work, since anything you hang on it will drape over the tray table. Most airlines place the coat hook on the side of the seat, such that the items you hang are out of the way. The tray table is mounted on rails, such that you can slide it outwards towards you. It's also quite thick and surprisingly sturdy. As you'll notice, there is no seatback entertainment screen. There is, however, a set of instructions at the top of the seatback for connecting to the onboard Wi-Fi, which is a paid service. My backpack is supposedly under the seat in front of me, but the space is very tight, so it doesn't fit very well and is just occupying space at my feet instead. There are also USB charging ports underneath the seat row, but no AC outlets available at any of the seats. Now for a look at the contents of the seatback pocket. First, we have the safety information card for the Airbus A320. Followed by an instruction card for connecting to the onboard Wi-Fi. There's also the Ling in-flight magazine, an air sickness bag, and a menu for onboard food purchases and in-flight shopping. There are no complimentary food or drink provided on this flight, but plenty of items available at steep prices in the purchase menu. In the magazine is the Vueling seat map, which shows the different seat types and their associated costs. There are also route maps and various articles to read as well. The windows on the A320 aircraft are quite small and use a standard pull-down window shade to block out light. On the panel above the seat is a personal reading light and air conditioning vent, along with the attendant call button. The seat arrangement on board is 3x3, which is standard for pretty much all A320 aircraft on any airline. This aircraft has 31 rows for a total of 180 economy seats in a very tightly packed configuration. There's one washroom located at the front of the plane and an additional 2 washrooms located at the back. About 30 minutes into the flight now, and the cabin crew are coming through with food and drink items available for purchase. There's not a whole lot of space in the seat to use my laptop, but I figured I'd try to get a bit of work done, and I also wanted to check out the portal for connecting to the in-flight Wi-Fi. After joining the network, you go to shop.vueling.com. From here you can view information about the flight, including the estimated arrival time. As for Wi-Fi access, there are 3 different package options, either for instant messaging capabilities, surfing, or video streaming. All the package prices are for the full length of the flight. With about an hour to go in the flight, we're getting rocked around by a bit of turbulence now. I'm not a huge fan of the yellowish tinge that the interior of this aircraft is sporting, but it does feel relatively clean and new for a 13-year-old plane. We're beginning our descent towards Gatwick Airport now, and the seatbelt signs are back on for arrival.
In front of you, your seat back's in the upright position and tray table still. The window blinds are raised, the armrest is down and your seatbelt is securely fastened. Please review the safety card in the seat pocket in front of you. Please be careful when opening the overhead lockers and make sure you take all your belongings with you as you leave the aircraft. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on board with us today, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. We wish you a safe onward journey and thank you for choosing Vueling.
After a pretty much on-time arrival, we're now taxiing to the gate. Vueling uses the south terminal at Gatwick Airport, so we'll be parking there this evening. We'll be deplaning from the boarding door at the front of the aircraft. After deplaning, the first step is passport control and then onwards to baggage claim. I'll be spending the night at the Gatwick Courtyard Marriott as my flight home to Toronto leaves Gatwick at 11 AM tomorrow morning. It's quite a long walk from the gate to passport control, taking about 10 to 15 minutes. Now through passport control, I'm headed to the exit as I have no checked baggage to collect in baggage claim. Thanks for joining me on this flight. Now for a summary of today's events. I loved how cheap this ticket was, meaning I don't really have a basis for any of my negative comments to follow, since you get what you pay for. Accessing the airport from the city was super easy and affordable using the C6 city bus, and the terminal space at Alicante Airport is stunningly modern with incredibly high ceilings. There was paid Wi-Fi service available on board the aircraft, and our flight was perfectly on time. Really, what more can you ask for on a €25 ticket? Well, since we're already here, I'll mention that I found the legroom in the seat to be exceptionally tight with no recline, and the seat surface very thin and firm, making it difficult to get comfortable. There were also no in-flight entertainment options on board besides the paid Wi-Fi. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button below, and I'll see you next time.